Greetings and welcome to another Warhammer 40,000 kill team video, where today I'm going over a tournament where I played at just this weekend gone past. But before we get into things, please remember to like and subscribe as well as comment. Let me know what you thought of today's video if you found it fun and useful. And remember, I've got a Discord you can check out for free in the episode description below, an affiliate link at Element Games, an affiliate link and discount code at Crossfire Games, and a Patreon if you want to give me some more support. But yeah, for today, I'm talking about a tournament I played at just this Saturday gone past when Blood and Zeal was announced. So I thought I'd go over it because, you know, it's the first tournament I played at in a long time where I'm not using Legionary. So I wanted to go over selecting a new team and going from there. So let's get on with it. So when it comes to team selection, I've actually been playing Legionary a long time, partly because they were good, but also because I really liked how I made them as my Alpha Legionary. So, you know, my Alpha Legionary. They're really fun, but the meta's changed. Legionary are still good, but because I played that team for now nearly 4 months, I needed a break. And I wanted to test out a new team. So I've been playing a few games with this team, but I wanted to go over team selection more because it is kind of difficult to select a team at this time because the meta is in a rock, paper, scissors state where there are still dominant teams, but there's teams now with bad matchups that you kind of either have to learn or hope you don't run into. So it was looking at that. I mean, ideally I should be playing Void Dancer Troop, but I've played them so much last edition, I don't really want to, and I find them quite boring. Then with Felgor Ravager potential, because I have them. But the issue with Felgor is they're effectively a melee-only team, and while they have enough tricks, I find them very boring and annoying to play, and obviously people playing into them will not have a good time. So I don't really want to play them. And then when it comes to Corsair Void Scarred, while I really like Corsairs, the issue is they're a year one yassified team, so they're classified for 1 year, which means, you know, I need something that will last a while because Legionary are a yassified team, so I needed something that, you know, isn't from the Octarius season. And it was interesting. I actually thought about playing Farstalker Kinband, but my issue with Farstalker Kinband, I find they have a bit of problems when it comes to TAC-op consistency, but also they have bad matchups, especially when it comes to Void Dancer Troop. And considering Void Dancer Troop are one of the most popular teams in the game at the moment, can't really play those. Not that the team's bad, it's just that its bad matchups are quite popular and are very strong and bad for them. Then I thought about Hierotech Circle, but I don't really like where Hierotech Circle are at the moment. You know, people are still having success with them for now, but I think it will tail off. And then I actually thought about playing Exaction Squad, but then I was like, Exaction Squad are good, but they've been nerfed in other ways. They still struggle into elites, and while elites haven't, you know, they're no longer as dominant as they were before, elites are still a big problem for them, and they're still quite popular at the moment. Sure, you'll be strong into the rest of the meta, but the moment you hit an elite team, you're very likely to draw or maybe lose, which isn't great. So then I was looking around and I was like, you know what? I'll settle back on a team I loved last edition, which I couldn't play because of Felgor, but Hand of the Archon. So Hand of the Archon are definitely a strong team. I don't think they're the strongest. A lot of people do think they are the strongest. But the biggest change with them is they now get pain tokens from when they injure operatives. Because the biggest issue I had with Hand of the Archon last edition, because I played them for nearly 2 months, and the problem I found is, like, if I didn't get the kill, I was just stuck in the open. Now, if I failed to kill, I still get a pain token, because most of the time I was injuring people. It was like the worst thing. You leave someone on 1 wound, and you get nothing, even though it's power from pain. So now it works better, and you've got more uses. Like, your invigorations are a lot better, and the way that APL works is more useful. And more importantly, they get a free pain token every turning point. Now, they do still have some weaknesses, but I think they're very, very good and very flexible. They just require a lot of planning and experimentation. But because I had so much time with them last edition, it's just kind of like remembering how they used to play and learning how, you know, better they are now, which is very much so. So, you know, I already have them fully painted up, which is great. And I've played a few games with them. I think before this tournament, I've played like 6 games with them, and I'm finding them very fun. They're good, but I don't think they're the best. They're definitely really good into other Eldari teams, but I need to play them longer before I can like make a full judgment on them. And also I have like a lot of theory tech, which I'm testing out at the moment. As for the tournament, it was at Arcanist Tavern in the UK, well, in London specifically, run by the Rule Zero team. So Arcanist Tavern is like this RPG kind of D&D place in Shoreditch in London. So quite near central London, really near me, which is nice. It's a place that popped up a few months ago, and we've been using it for Kill Team, and this is, I think, their second or third Kill Team event. So I was able to go to this one. I was thinking about going to UKTC in Manchester, but it was like, it would have been a 4-hour drive on the Saturday, and a 4-hour drive back on the Sunday, and the hotels and everything. And I'm not feeling great, so I chose to go to the local one. And yeah, it's 3 rounds. The interesting thing about this, what we're testing out in London, when we don't have an undefeated winner, instead of going the normal placing metrics of wins, tournament points, like opponent win percentage, then total VP, we're swapping, so it's wins, tournament points, then total VP, then win percentage, to make it a bit fairer. Because when you've got more than one undefeated winner, opponent win percentage can kind of screw you over quite heavily. But it should be a fun event, so let's get into the round. So for round 1, I was into Blades of Cain. We were playing, we were playing Transmission. So Transmission is, from turning point 2 onwards, you can turn an objective on, and then if you're controlling an objective, it's controlled until, if you can control an objective, and then if you control an objective, you get 1 VP. If you control more, you get another. So he took 3 Scorpions, 3 Banshees, and 2 Dire Avengers with the Howling Banshee Exarch, while I took 2 Agents, Blaster, and then Leader with Blast Pistol and Venom Blade, and then all the Specialists. So no Heavy Gunner. So interestingly, going into this round, what I planned was, because I was made to go first, so I passed to get +1 command point, and then my opponent passed. So we had nothing turning point 1. Now, there's a lot of debate around this, and I'll get to it at the end of the tournament. But the thing is, I'm very happy to pass into this matchup, because as long as your leader's alive, the first time you can pass ignoring strategic gambits, you get +1 command point. But I had to remind people, because I always remind people, that selecting your primary is a strategic gambit. So when I told him if he passed, then there would be no primary op, he agreed. And in this matchup, I don't mind too much, because we're probably both taking plant beacons, and when there's no primary op, all of a sudden, him only getting 5 on the crit on the tack up, while I get 5 or 6 6 is actually a big difference, because it's more than just a 1-point swing, because they lose the primary bonus. So we did that, and there was no staging up for turning point 1 in terms of I couldn't dish out pain tokens, but I mean we were both tied for CP because it was extra equipment. So while he did move up quite aggressively, it allowed me to ping like my Birdman, chipped 2 wounds off a Howling Banshee, and then I just staged into position. Then going into turning point 2, I rolled higher for initiative, and then he had to use his item to win initiative back. So on the left-hand side, he had a staged up Striking Scorpion, which charged and killed my agent, but I did hit his Striking Scorpion back for 3 damage, knocking it down to 5 wounds. And then on the right-hand side, because I had 2 ladders on that Vocus stronghold, I had my Crimson Duelist staged up, so she charged around, killed the Banshee at the back, and then shot into the Striking Scorpion, who got 3 crits, and I picked the Dire Avenger that was near on the right-hand side to not be able to score and contest that turn. And unfortunately, the Striking Scorpion rolled 2 crits and then rerolled its defense dice into a crit, so it didn't die. It didn't even take any damage, but I still got a 1-for-1 trade. And then he charged the Striking Scorpion into my Duelist, who did crit him for 5 damage and then died. So then I used, because he put his Banshee Exarch on the top of the stronghold on the left, I used my Birdman, who, with his pain token, he repositioned to the left-hand side and then gave himself Seek Light and Ignore Obscuring, and then fired his Splinter Rifle into the Exarch, getting 2 crits and a hit, knocking the Exarch down to 3 wounds, which then forced the Exarch to play more defensively. Then I managed to effectively get chip damage, because one of the Dire Avengers moved out to then try and get a shot, because one of my agents then killed the Striking Scorpion. And then effectively by the end of turning point 2, I think I had killed 7. No, I had killed 5 Aspect Warriors, because I had killed the Striking Scorpion on my left flank. I'd killed the Exarch at the end of turning point 2. Then I'd killed a Striking Scorpion and a Banshee, and then also a die adventure with a blaster shot. So I'd managed to kill 5, and then by the end of turning point 3, I had unfortunately wiped out my opponent because I was getting too many 2-for-1 trades. He had actually picked Overrun while I had picked Plant Beacon, so I staged out my Plant Beacon correctly. So at the end of the game, I got 6 on the tac op, I got 6 on the kill op, and then on transmission, I got 4. Because at the end of turning point 2, we were contesting the left one. Then I managed to just, control 1 and control more in turning point 3 and 4. So overall, I managed to win, I believe, 18-3 or 18-2. But more importantly, I was down 3 points because there was no primary. But this was fun. It was still a close game. You have to be careful when you come into Blades of Cain. But my opponent did kind of underestimate how quickly I get pain tokens and played too aggressively. He said next time he would have played the Plant Beacon game, which I thought he would have. But he would have basically treated me as an elite team instead of a horde team, which, to be honest, you kind of should do into Hand of the Archon. Then into round 2, I was in the Hand of the Archon mirror, and we were playing Upload. So it was interesting. My opponent took priority and took the top side, while I took the bottom side, which I actually wanted. And effectively, my opponent was like, are you going to pass when I pass? I was like, well, we'll see. So he passed immediately because he took initiative. He kind of had to, because I used reposition to reposition up my Disciple of Yelindra underneath the building in the middle where you can't see her, because I took the same loadout as the last game. So I made him go first. So his first activation was to pass, which made him go to 4 CP. So I passed because even though there would be no primary op, I also knew there would be no pain tokens to hand out, which means I can be more aggressive with my Disciple of Yelindra than he can. So I didn't mind the offset staging point. So we effectively just staged. He did make a mistake of, by his last activation, repositioning and dashing his witch into the middle. So then all I did last activation was charge my Disciple of Yelindra into his witch and then just passed. I could have fought, but the reason I didn't, I would have need to pop the lethal 5 drug, which would have been fine in melee, lethal 5 up, 4 attacks, hitting on freeze, lethal 5 up, but then I need 3 crits. I don't have the rending ploy up, so I need to roll 3 5s. I actually need to roll 4 crits, because he can do the same thing, and then it'll just be weird. Didn't do that. Then I won initiative, and I took it turning point 2. This time, I just didn't pass. I didn't think it was worth it, so I just immediately gave out my pain tokens, and I paid for all my standard ploys, so from Darkness Death, Merciless Sadist, and then Rending in Close Combat. So first activation, I fell back for a CP, so I just moved out of combat and shot his Crimson Duelist and killed her. Just rolled crits because it was, I used the Toxin to make it 4-5 and just blew that witch away. And then I threw a Toxin into his Flayer on the right-hand side who was covering the door of that building and hit her for 3 damage, which was nice. He tried to Birdman my Flayer turning point 1 and did no damage, and then tried to, then shot the Shard Carbine, repositioning with the Sky Splinter Assassin next to the objective on the left-hand side, and then did kill my Disciple of Yelindra. So then what I did the next activation was, because I was now safer, I then charged my Flayer into his agent, who he had positioned his agent on the objective, charged into the agent behind that wall, because that wall is so tall, and just killed him. Like, murdered him, got a pain token, and then did Plant Beacon. So I did the first Plant Beacon in his half. Then he moved up. Well, then he passed. So then what I did, I thought that was a mistake, because I had an agent on the right-hand side of that stronghold with a pain token who burned it to go to 3 APL, repositioned and dashed, and shot his blaster, only getting 2 crits, which he saved 1, so took 4 damage. So I was just left there, which was okay. And then effectively I just moved up, because once his Sky Splinter Assassin was out of the game, because my medic, who was at stage by that door, charged the Sky Splinter Assassin and killed him, and because, that wall is quite tall, I had, secured that, I healed the Flayer up to full health and was just hiding there because they couldn't see me because I was so, not short, it was just that wall was so tall, and then I was able just to move around. I baited by sacrificing my Crimson Duelist. She moved on to my objective, so then he did a reposition and dash, and then shot with his blaster and killed my Crimson Duelist. So then my leader just switched to engage and killed his blaster, and then just make sure he was obscured behind that building piece. The Flayer effectively kind of died because he charged in and got one crit, and then I just hit him. So he actually had to invest more to kill my agent on the right-hand side. And then effectively I just started moving up. He moved his his Disciple of Yelindra onto the point and hit my blaster for with the Torment, doing 3 damage, and then I activated and took 1 damage. So then all I did is I repositioned up into his Disciple of Yelindra's face, blasted her away, and then healed back up to full wounds. And then in Turning Point 3, I effectively just wiped him out because I got too much board control Turning Point 3 at the end of Turning Point 2 and just took over the board. So then for this game, I also managed to get 6 on the tack op, 6 on the crit op, and then 6 on the tack op. Yeah, so I got 18. Last game I got 16, this game I got 18. So it was weird. The mirror is very weird, but my opponent also did kind of play a bit too aggressively. But he also took Overrun, which forced him to play aggressive. So next time we take Plant Beacon. But it was still a fun game, and mirrors are always weird. Then in the final game, I was actually into Exaction Squad, which I was actually terrified by, and we were playing we were playing Upload. So this is the one where you have to put a point on an objective, and then at the end of every turning point, you can choose to burn it, and then if you burn it, you can't score again. So for this loadout, I took the same loadout as before, no heavy gunner, but instead of taking the blaster, I took the shredder. So I took the shredder because it is 4/5 torrent 2, so it has lethal 5 up in Gallow Dark, and it's rending. So I took priority and took this side because it allows me more avenues to like apply pressure. And I passed Turning Point 1. No, I didn't pass Turning Point 1. This time I had to risk because my opponent, Mikhail, is very, very good. And I kind of had to respect him more, but also I needed to stage more importantly into Exaction Squad because it's a very tough matchup. So this time I gave a pain token to my Disciple of Yelindra, who had moved up with the Recon Dash, and then I'd given one to my agent. So at the end of Turning Point 1, I had my Flayer and agent on the right-hand side. I had my agent and Disciple of Yelindra by the door in the middle, my leader just behind them on that pillar, and then everyone else on the left-hand side. I actually had that door open because what I really found playing as Hand of the Archon, because they're 7-inch move, especially into teams that are like, human teams, they can only move 6 inches. So their threat range is quite limited. And even with the Exaction Squads, they can shoot you from 4 inches away. It's not that great, especially when they have to spend an inch to move through doors, because it all of a sudden means you have 2 to 1 extra inches on them, which is really, really huge. So what I'd staged up for that, he took initiative because he had to, stay safe. Because Turning Point 1, my Birdman managed to knock his Castigator down to 3 wounds to get a pain token, which was crazy. It rolled 2 crits and 3 hits. And I was like, that's not supposed to do that. And then what I did, I won initiative Turning Point 2, and then immediately moved my Witch, my Crimson Duelist, to the left-hand side, repositioned and dashed, and went on guard. Because on that side, he had his Leash Master, his dog, and his medic. So he moved the Castigator over and bubbled up and just like bunched around there. And then it got very close. Like on the right-hand side, I moved up, I planted Beacon, and then I just secured that point. I made an error there because I should have uploaded there because I just, for some reason, just moved on to the point with my Flayer when I already had someone else on the point. And then just played cagey. By the end of Turning Point 2, he moved into the middle of the room. So then what I did is I repositioned around and then shot with the pistol on the Disciple of Yelindra, doing 5 damage because only a crit went through, which left his shield on 3, and then the sniper moved into the room and killed me. And then I won. He made a slight error on Turning Point 3 because I won initiative. I opened the door. I then Hatchway fought his Leash Master, killed his Leash Master, so his dog was stuck on the Relentless profile, so it didn't have the movement to charge anyone except my Disciple of Yelindra, and then I made his Castigator unable to score and contest objectives, so only his medic could move into there and, do that. So then some more trades happened, and then what I did is my leader charged around into his sniper, killed his sniper, and then got a single crit and a hit onto his subductor, and then he only got he only made one save, and the subductor took a crit damage and died. So I managed to get a double kill there. And then he just made a mistake where he moved the dog into hatchway fight range of my Crimson Duelist, who then just chose to fight. So I managed to get 4 crits, but I was on 3 wounds. So the Castigator just like, I mean, not the Castigator. The dog did kill me, but go down to 3 wounds, which allowed my Shredder, which was sitting on the left-hand side, to then charge the dog, kill the dog, because I only needed a single hit, and then I shredded his because I made his medic the target from Darkness Death. So I hit the medic, I got 4 crits and killed the medic, and then into the Castigator I rolled a crit and 3 hits, because of Rending went into 2 crits and 2 hits, which just blew away the Castigator. So all of a sudden I just dominated that flank. I was continually planting Beacon, and then effectively going into turning point 4. He had 2 operatives, I had 4 left. His leader did manage to kill 2 of mine, but eventually I killed his leader, and then I managed to get 2 on upload. He managed to get 1, and then I managed to max my tack up. He had taken contain, and he'd only gotten 3 points from it. Both primaried the tack up. So I managed to get, we tied on the kill up because we both got 4. So I managed to get 6 on the tack up, 4 on the kill up, 3 on the primary, and then 2 on the crit up. So I managed to win there 14-10. So very close, but it's an interesting matchup. There were times where I really wanted the blaster, but I'm really glad I took the Shredder in the end. It's just trying to stage up because Exaction are really difficult to fight, but once you get that lead, it's quite consistent to be able to stay ahead. So for the tournament overview, there were actually 3 undefeated players, and I came 3rd. So let me pull up the top 8 list for you here. So Lorenzo came first with his Warp Coven, then Matt with Nemesis Claw, me with Hand of the Archon, Toby with his Ratlings, Andrew with his Void Dancer Troop, Paolo with his Angels of Death, Peter with his Angels of Death, and then Matthew with his Nemesis Claw. Because the interesting thing, there were a lot of Eldari teams, but there was only 2 Hand of the Archon, 4 Void Dancer Troop, 4 Nemesis Claw, and I think 2 or 3 Corsairs. But it was 17 players altogether, so there's actually a lot of spreads when it came to teams. But it's really, really fun. Annoyingly, this is where passing turning point 1 becomes a problem. Because while it allowed me to control the game, it also meant I was down 6 points. And those were 6 points I would have gotten, which would have put me to first. But it's something I needed to learn and experiment with. I think if I'm playing Hand of the Archon in this way, like if I go to an event where there's not going to be an undefeated winner and it comes down to tournament points, I really should not pass turning point 1 and ensure I get the primary. But I think in general matchups, it's kind of okay to pass. But it was really fun. I had a lot of fun playing everyone. Like the London meta is really chill. Everyone there is really nice. The venue's pretty good. The only weird thing was the toilets. Like the toilets are amazing. Tons of toilets, spacious. They're just like mood blue lighting because it's kind of themed like a D&D environment. And I was just like, wow, UV light flashbacks. But it was really good. They had free Wi-Fi. It's a really atmospheric place, which is really fun to play at. But Hand of the Archon were really, really fun. It's so nice just being able to get pain tokens from injuring people, because the biggest thing I found, I thought plant beacons would be really bad for Hand of the Archon, but when you send an agent or even any operative, you reposition, you shoot someone, you've got from Darkness Death, so you can turn something into a crit regardless and on top of other crits, and then if you find them in melee, you've got Rending. So even if you kill them, even if you injure them, you get a pain token, which you can burn to go to free APL and then plant beacon if you're shooting them. So it's really, really fun and consistent. And, I'm winning, not as big as I won with Legionary, because most of my Legionary games, when I won, I'd win like by, 20, 21 points. So I'm not dominating the game, but I'm still winning, which is nice. They're a nice change of pace, compared to Elites. And I just really love my Eldari models. I'm an Eldari person at heart, and it's really nice to see Eldari in such a good position. I was tempted to see how it would have been into Angels of Death. I haven't played into Angels of Death with Hand of the Archon yet, but I think it's actually a good matchup for Hand of the Archon, because you just shoot them. You just kind of go like, maybe I'll charge you. We'll see. We'll see about charging you. But it was interesting. It's an interesting spread. I actually wanted to see what the Warp Coven matchup was like, because it was like impossible before the balanced data slate, but it's kind of doable now. There's some other matchups I need to test out, like Felgor are still a big problem for Hand of the Archon, and there were no Felgor at this event, and I really need to practice into Felgor for Hand of the Archon, because if my Hand of the Archon can't at least, not consistently, but, more commonly beat or draw into Felgor, then I probably really can't run Hand of the Archon. It depends how difficult that Felgor wall is, because they are going to be very popular at events because they're one of the best kill teams in the game right now. So I just have to learn to get around that. But at the moment, just playing more games with the Hand of the Archon, building up my familiarity, and also just, learning all the matchups and all the tricks with the new edition. But I'd highly recommend you go into the Rule Zero tournaments. They're looking to run at Arcanist Tavern again. And, they always sell out. They're really fun. Ryan made a really fun and straightforward tournament. It was 3 rounds, very, very chill. And then we went to the local pub afterwards. So it was a nice hangout. So even if you're not the most competitive person, it's still a great place to learn and, relax. But that's pretty much it from me today. Please remember to like and subscribe as well as comment. Let me know what you thought of today's video. Did you find it useful and helpful? Did you find me going over my tactics and kill team selection a bit more useful? Because I kind of wanted to expand upon that to make these tournament reports more interesting to learn and listen to. And remember, I've got a Discord you can check out for free in the episode description below, and a affiliate Element Games, and a affiliate and discount code at Crossfire Games, and a Patreon if you want to give me some more support. So I'm just going to quickly shout out my patrons. So for my adults of the crew, I have Tom, Supercow, Sam, Nick, Mercenary Q, Mr. Meatwad, Lucas, Jeremiah, Graham, Fangzu, Draken, Dave Meatsworld, Dan, Dada Goldens, Chris, Amorphium, and then for my veterans of the crew, I have Samja and Mark. So thank you so much for all your support. It really means a lot to me and helps support the channel. But yeah, now I'm just, I've actually made a new version of my Hand of the Archon because I kind of wanted to update it a bit, because I've painted them as if they were Sons of Horus, but I kind of messed up the scheme a bit. It's too flat. I mean, I didn't leave enough shadow. So I made some more Exodite Hand of the Archon, which I'm currently working on now, just as a passion project, because I really like Eldari models. So I'm having some fun with that. And then once that kill team's done, I'll have a display board. But yeah, let me know what teams you're experimenting with, the new balanced data slate. I'm really enjoying the new meta. It's still very weird as a rock, paper, scissors kind of thing, but still fun to play in. Way better than the meta used to be. And, it's great seeing more people come back and experimenting with new teams. But remember, no matter what kill team you run, you always have a chance to win, as long as you can roll a crit.